flying high. You know how I feel. Sun in the sky. You know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by. You know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life for me.
Actor, singer, dancer, showman in general, Derek Metzgar's career encompasses television, concerts, cabaret and, of course, musical theatre. He starred in or been part of so many shows here in Australia, from Chess to Me and My Girl, The Wizard of Oz, Jesus Christ Superstar, The Mikado, Some Like It Hot, The Pirates of Penzance and 42nd Street. Now, Derek is touring with Kings of Croon and he's taken time out today to have a chat on our program. Derek, so nice to talk to you again.
You too, good afternoon.
It's been a while. I think
it has been a little while.
20 years ago when I last spoke to you. It might have even been longer than that.
Oh, boy, time going quickly. 20 years, is that right?
Yeah, well, look, I know I spoke to you at 42nd Street.
Right.
So many of those shows. And Me and My Girl, another one. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's been... time flies and it gets quicker as you get older, and that's what they say.
Well, exactly right. But you're back into the crooners now. How different is that to what you have done in the past?
Well, look, this is it's a theme show. It's not a theatre show as such. It's more, a club concert type show with a theme. And myself and two other of my mates, I guess, put this show together.
Well, you've got Ian and Scott, haven't you?
Yeah, Scott and Ian, Ian Stanlake and Scott Irwin. And we just thought there was a place in the market for it. And, we've all been great fans of that crooning style, your Perry Come's and Nat King Cole's, Sinatra's and those guys. And it was funny enough, when they first introduced the crooning style, it sort of coincided with the invention of the microphone.
Yes.
And initially, a lot of critics were saying, well, the style won't last. It's just a fad. But, of course, 50, 60, 70 years on, it's still going.
I had a chat to Ian, I think it was last week, and I was talking to Ian about the crooners there too, and saying how in my experience, way back when I was a kid, my mother would always talk to me about her mother, so my grandmother, and she'd always say how evil the crooners were. You can't listen to that music, it's evil,
Well, I guess in those days, any parents, protective parents' daughters were prone to it, weren't they?
Yeah, I think they might have. Here comes a Bing Crosby, he's after you.
That's right.
What sort of songs are you singing in this?
Well, look, I do a little bit of Bobby Darin.
Yeah.
And I might even throw a bit of tap in there somewhere. And we'll see on the day. But also, I'm a huge fan of the Newly Brickus songwriting duo.
Yes.
And so I do a little medley of sort of their songs. And but we sort of mix it up. The show is sort of called the Kings of Croon yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And so we don't only sort of pay homage to the guys, from yesteryear, but we also look at people like Bublé and Connick Jr. and how they've reintroduced these songs and this style to the current generations. Yeah,
you couldn't leave them out, could you? Because you're right,
no.
They've reintroduced it, and it's a whole new generation listening to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these kids think, these are new songs. They've been around for a lot longer than they have. And but of course, we're also looking at, we put our take on what we feel will be considered the crooners in 20 years' time. Those people that are writing songs, original songs now, and people like Adele and John Legend and these guys, And so we put a bit of a modern twist on it as well. And so it sort of covers all those eras, I guess. And so, the trouble with that is it's deciding what to leave out.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
So much material.
Well, you got about, an hour and a half show or something, haven't you?
Yeah, about an hour and a half, yeah. So we managed to cover most areas in that time.
Well, I suppose by doing a few medleys you can do that, can't you?
Yeah, we can. And we also look at the Australian version of, people like Peter Allen. And of course he's known for a lot of his things like, I Go to Rio and that sort of thing. But he wrote some absolutely beautiful songs and really did fall into that crooning style. And so we want to do some things and keep it local as well, not just American and European.
Let's talk about Derek Metzgar. How did you start into this business?
I'll go back into the mist of time. I actually won a national television talent contest when I was 15.
So what was that called?
It was called The Entertainers, and it was very much along the same lines, not quite as hyped as the ones of today.
Right.
But it was a very similar thing. And I from that I started a sort of a television light entertainment career, and also travelled around representing New Zealand in various song contests around the world and so forth. And all through that period, I was always involved in musical theatre, and that sort of eventually took over. And I've been very fortunate over the years. We tend to be, by our very nature, gypsies, really, performers. We travel to where the work is, and over the years I've lived in various countries and worked in various industries around the world, and really been fortunate in that sense. And finally settled into Australia in '93, and sort of kept working, and again, that's fortunate. Not everyone can say that.
Well, we're so glad you did settle here, and you've got plenty of work coming up too. 15 years of age, that contest. Were you studying singing prior to that, or dance?
Yeah, I took singing lessons when I was started when I was 9, and so I was doing the competitions and all that sort of stuff, and I got to a point. It was just after that contest, actually. I got to the point where I reached a fork in the road, and I could have gone on. I had a mentor that wanted me to go on to university and become a lyric tenor.
Right.
And study opera, and the other fork in the road, of course, was musical theatre, and so the rest is history. I decided to take the other fork. But yeah, I guess at 15, I wasn't really aware of what I wanted to do with it. It was just something that happened, and it was I sort of got a lot of I suppose you call it fame in those days, and had a fairly high profile. And I just went along for the ride. I had made no decisions about what I wanted to do, and this looked like it was a great fun. And so I just kept going, and that's pretty much been my philosophy ever since.
Derek, at 15, when you won that contest, then you're saying it just happened. What happened after that? Then you must have been picked up by other people for other shows, were you?
Yeah, look, I got my own television series, and also
at 15 years of age.
Yeah.
Wow.
And travelled around, and we did a whole. It was almost like a travel series, actually, in a way. We did a series of concerts in various outdoor places around New Zealand, and look, and a lot of that stuff happened before I was even really, aware of it, and could take full advantage of it, and really was appreciative of what it was. I was just too young. But then I went on from there, and the New Zealand government got me involved in promoting the tourist industry in New Zealand, and we toured around Europe and also around America, and I was performing in places like the Playboy Club in Chicago and Club 54 in New York, and it dates me, doesn't it? And in some of these venues, and way before I knew what I was doing. Now I'd like to go back to the Playboy Club maybe, and just and I'd appreciate it a lot more
and do it all over again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my word. Green Room Award you got for Me and My Girl.
Yep, that's right.
Best actor in the musical, that was...
Yeah, look, it's probably one of... I guess if somebody asked me what was the role that I've enjoyed doing the most, I guess it would probably be that role.
It was a great show.
Yeah, it was a fabulous show. And look, there's nothing better than getting an audience laughing.
Yes.
And that show really did that.
Yeah.
And I guess the show actually launched me into the market here in Australia too. I mean, I did a couple of things before that tour happened, but it was Me and My Girl that sort of basically took me around the country and increased my profile here in Australia.
There's so many good songs from that show. One that stands out for me, I just love it, The Lambeth Walk.
Well, it took me like 6 months to get that song out of my head.
Really?
It was over.
I can believe it.
Well, it's like, all good. It is a good song, and it was a huge hit in its day.
Yeah.
And but it's such a catchy a melody, and it's just a song that you can't get out of that and Leaning on a Lamppost.
Yes, of course. Yes.
But it was a great show, and Noel Gay originally wrote it, and then Stephen Fry picked up the script, I think, in the early 80s. And rewrote the whole thing basically, and you can hear his comedy all the way through it, and it was such a great script, and it was one of the first scripts I ever read that I laughed out loud while I was reading it, and that was always a really good sign.
Derek, what did you do when you read the script of Spamalot? Because that was bloody funny too.
Well, I didn't need to actually, because I grew up with
Monty Python,
and I could quote you verbatim most of those sketches anyway. So when I finally got into that show as Patsy, it was like reliving my childhood 8 shows a week, and not many people can say that they had a 20-kilo cow land on them.
Yes, exactly. I remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
And you were nominated there for a Helpman Award too. That's how good you were in that.
Yeah, look, I did. It was great. And look, all these awards are lovely, and the nominations are fantastic. But that's not really what you do it for.
No, you don't. But it's an honour to go and be nominated, or even to win them, isn't it? And just to be nominated alone, it's wonderful. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, looking forward to seeing you down at Frankston. You're there on Friday, the 11th of August at the Frankston Arts Centre. A great venue. You've been there before, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, indeed. Have, yeah.
10:30 and 1:30. You can book at the Frankston Arts Centre. Keep that in mind. Friday, the 11th of August, 10:30 and 1:30. You are coming up here to the Cardinia Cultural Centre too at Pakenham.
Yeah, we are. I'm not sure what date that is.
That's about 2 weeks after that, I think, but 23rd or something. Right. So I'll be at that performance, so I'll come up and say hi to you, mate, when you're there. Yeah. Thanks for your time today, pal. Really good to catch up. I know you're busy, mate. Yeah. Take care.
Right.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye. See you.
Birds flying high